My dad, back in the 70s, I guess, used to watch The Price is Right. And, you know, they would give away cars and trips and money. And so he would watch it all the time, and he would always say, well, sis, if I won that, I couldn't afford the taxes on it. If I won that car, I couldn't afford the gas to put in. Gas cost. And I thought, wow, how interesting to negate something that would be given to you. And I just thought, and that was a constant saying. If I had that, well, I couldn't afford to keep it. And so what words do we hear in our head over and over again that perhaps our parents have said, or just are in race consciousness or in the news? We may have a desire for a wonderful relationship, yet are we always complaining about our partner? He or she does this, he or she is this. Do we desire to have a new job or a career, but keep talking about how bad our current job is, or how bad the economy is, and there are no jobs, and that's just the way it is? We're setting our intention to find the perfect job that thrills our soul, and then we go in the lunchroom and complain about our boss and our coworkers. I see somebody does. We complain about our pay or the environment. So let's just start thinking for a minute. You know, we say our affirmations and then we go out and we forget that we've said them, and then we go back to doing what we've already had. So how much negative energy are we putting out there in the universe? So every time we say something that is limiting or negative or judgmental, it's like we're throwing bricks in front of our path to get what we desire, because they're so full of form. So we're connecting with spirit and saying our affirmations, yet we're throwing bricks in front of us. So we have to remember that energy follows thought, and our words create our world. So we can see how disempowering this kind of talk can be. And when we speak to our friends and family and anybody we meet, we need to realize that we're speaking to the universe. And the universe is molding that experience for us. So why do we do this? We know better, don't we? We know better. We've been studying and studying, yet we still do it. Well, I think there's many reasons why we do it. Mostly, I think we're creatures of habit. This is what we hear all the time. So it's our human nature that repeats patterns over and over again. But it's our divine nature that creates something new. And so it's time to change and be more in our divine nature. The time has changed. Time to change. The time is now. And it's time to be in alignment with our intentions and our words and our actions. It's time to marry our intentions, our words, and our actions with spirit. To start taking that morning prayer meditation and moving it into every part of our life in our day. It's time to take a breath and connect before we speak, because we feel so rushed during the day. We feel like we have to respond, and people are asking us questions, and we have to have an opinion, perhaps. And we have to say something. And so what if we just took a breath and connected and remembered what our true desires were and then spoke? People would wait for an answer. They would. When Cindy does weddings, which are so beautiful, in it she always puts in, I believe it's after they're married, puts in to say to the couple, am I saying the most loving words possible? Am I doing the most loving acts possible? So if we thought about marrying our own intentions with our words and our actions, with spirit, with that love, how much more powerful would that be? because we have wonderful desires and aspirations for ourselves, let's try and move forward with spirit and using what we know and being consciously awake more of the day. So, if we go back to our examples, if we're working on prosperity, what if we said during the day, if something came up where we felt that we couldn't afford something, well, it's not in my budget right now, but I'm open to receive. I'm in the process of growing my wealth. Come up with words that are relevant to what we desire as growing and moving forward instead of reverting back to, well, I can't afford that. I don't have enough money. In our relationships, we could say, I sure am learning a lot about myself. I am ready to be shown how wonderful I am. I'm learning how to be greater love on the planet. And I'm ready to receive greater love. If we start calling forth what our intentions are instead of complaining about what we don't want. In our job, we could say, this job is a stepping stone for my perfect job. I have grown here and I'm ready to gain new skills. We can think of things to say, can't we? If we start looking at things that way, about using where we are to catapult us forward, instead of using words that focus and keep us where we don't want to be. And as metaphysicians, we know this, don't we? We all know everything I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, and we may even do this consciously for a week when we start our affirmations and be conscious of it, but then what happens? We revert back to our own habits. So we need to stop reverting back to our old conditioning of languaging about ourselves or about our world. So how can we release our current vocabulary? Well, fall is a great time of release, isn't it? Yeah. So if we look at fall, nature is letting go of what has already bloomed and is preparing its journey into the stillness before it's time to bloom again. If we look at the trees, during the summer, most of the trees have all varied shades of green, don't they? And now, in the fall, they have many different colors. As the life force of the leaves decline, they fall to the ground for a new purpose. Now that tree doesn't have to use its energy to keep those leaves alive anymore. The focus and attention goes back onto its roots and its core. And then we see just the beauty of the structure of the tree that's left. Its true potential before it has leaves. And with this energy, it then grows forth new buds and new leaves. So if we just be a tree for a moment, if we look at our leaves as experiences that we have called into form, what do we see? We may see leaves that are very beautiful and have served us very well. We may see some brown and withered up leaves that are great lessons and are ready to let go. But whatever we see, we need to realize that we were masters in creating all of them. And we created a beautiful tree